Let's shift gears, but we stay with issues to do with communities. So about 30 residents, we're told, were able to engage President Cyril Ramaphosa directly at the inaugural presidential imbizo that was held in Mahikeng. Ramaphosa's visit to the Northwest yesterday was aimed at overseeing the implementation of the district development model, which is essentially centered around governance issues. There were no surprises around what the residents raised. They say they're worried about rising unemployment, gender-based violence, crime, and a lack of policing, among many other issues. But how confident can we be that the imbizo, such as the one that was held yesterday, will lead to any kind of material change in the Northwest? Let's bring in political analyst Professor Sethulego Matebesi, who's joining us via our video link this morning. Prof, great to see you as always. Thanks very much for your time. I mean, I don't mean to be among the cynical in our midst, but when we consider the track record of events like what we saw yesterday, can we be confident that it will lead to material change, or is this yet another talk shop?
Hi, good morning, Ayanda, and the viewers at home or anywhere where they are. The problem is we've been there. We had a district model of municipal governance. We had imbizos in the past, and we do have government engagement processes that are taking place throughout the country. The problem is not about these imbizos. For me, these are public relations exercises. It's about time that the president and the ministers can sit down wherever they are and ensure that whatever decisions have been taken over the years, these strategic priorities of the government, the fight against corruption, lack of service delivery, are being addressed. And it doesn't need another 6 months, another 2 years to be able to deal with that. But that is not going to happen because you still have a large proportion of people who have been employed in municipalities, in your provincial government, who does not have the requisite skills or even the will to do what they've been hired to do. And that's where the problem starts. You may have all these glorious programs, but at the end of the day, I think for me, it is all about implementation.
Right.
And that's where we've got a very huge problem in South Africa.
And implementation obviously has to be coupled with an ability to hold people accountable when promises aren't being fulfilled. What is also distressing, of course, is that these imbizos will take place almost in vacuums. There isn't a sense of this is what we promised the last time and this is what we've done and this is how you can hold us accountable. And so that allows us to go through the cycle over and over without actually moving forward.
Yes, and Ayanda and the viewers, one thing that we should understand, I mean, a couple of years after 1994, people were still sympathetic and very patient with the process. But I mean, we almost on the brink of reaching 3 decades of democracy, and we still talk about reinventing the wheel each time we're facing challenges, but yet we don't deal with the basics. And that's why I strongly believe that one can also not be too overly critical of the government. Yes, they're trying because engagement is the key or very fundamental component of our constitutional democracy. But the fact of the matter is, people who are found wanting are actually celebrated when it comes to public service. They are elevated, and that's why people will come and publicly say, but you can't touch me for oversight. But my question is, why do we have chief financial officers? Why do we have HODs? I mean, it's a bloated system. But when it comes to accountability, it becomes a huge problem. And that's why people will start thinking that we are enjoying just criticizing our government. But the fact of the matter is, we can't also understand why is there no political will to deal with the issues that have been raised in Northwest. And not only Northwest, I mean, those challenges are facing all South Africans.
Yeah, Northwest specifically is home to some of the worst performing municipalities. You speak about engagement being, an important part of our democracy, and I think very few people will disagree with that. But does that engagement mean much in a context where the governance dysfunctionality is so deeply entrenched, as is the case in the Northwest?
Well, in the absence of any fundamental things that is happening at the ground level, it is also good to be seen to be doing something. And I think this is one of the things. And that's why I strongly believe that it is a good starting challenge. But you also saw what happened yesterday where people wanted to disrupt that meeting to be able to speak directly to the president. Now, that for me is indicative of the lack of, engagement with communities. We all know this thing only happens a couple of months before elections, where you will find ministers and other, key leaders crisscrossing the country and trying to engage with the communities. But I do agree that at the end of the day, engagement should be followed up by at least providing feedback. And I've seen many ministers, even after the Imbizo, were saying that we will be back in 2 weeks' time, and by then we will have made progress on A, B, C, and Z. And those are the promises that I think the citizens of the residents of Northwest should hold the government accountable, to say that you publicly make pronouncement on certain promises. Why have they not been met? But that's the problem. Politicians get in, they make promises, but later on they do not go back. And let us not be naive. Sometimes it is possible that some of these targets can't be reached immediately, but go back and give feedback to the residents.
Absolutely. Professor Sethulego Matebesi, always great getting your thoughts on these issues. Thanks very much indeed for your time.